that the war on terror has become a war on Islam. Let's define the war on terror. The war on terror, whether in Afghanistan or in Iraq, is not evidence of a war on Islam.
Okay, lady at the back, we'll take a question from you, please.
Just briefly, I was in Germany when 9/11 happened, and my perception there was that the reason that they chose to dive bomb the World Trade Center was because for the Islamic world, the insidious encroachment of our American culture is in direct conflict with very many things that they believe, and that that's an impossible thing for them to fight back against.
You say American policies justify the death of 2,500 people on 9/11? Is that your point?
No, that's not my point at all. My point is why...
Sounded very like it.
Why do Muslims feel it's necessary to attack the West? Go back one step further.
Prime Mufti, do you want to take this?
How can we feel? I think that the question is too hard on us, saying that Muslims need to attack the West. The 11th of September, I suffer now as a Muslim in the world more than the Americans are suffering. And because of that, I am against that more than you can imagine. Because the Jews were accused that they killed Jesus for 10 centuries, and they suffered in Europe. Now, I think the role is of the Muslims, that we are going to have accused generations after generations after generations that some Muslims have done. And I don't know these Muslims, whether they are Muslims or not. I am not sure, because if they are sincere Muslims, they are not wise and they would not do that. If they are not Muslims, then therefore they did that exactly against Muslims and Islam, not in the favor of Islam against the West.
Thank you, Grand Mufti. Gentlemen,
the war is a multicultural war, and many Muslim nations are part of it. For example, the elected Iraqi government is fighting a war against terrorist militants. Is that a war against Islam as well?
You know, the problem is that now everyone who has a grudge against one of its groups or traits of its communities, all of a sudden declare that it's a war on terror and you're okay. Iraq never ever, despite the dark days of Saddam, never ever had one single Iraqi been implicated in one act of terrorism around the world. Not one single suicide bombing happened in Iraq until after the war and the subsequent occupation. The reason why now Iraq is being classified as a bedrock of terrorism is because of the war and the subsequent occupation. And the effort to quell that is an effort that I support if it was a sincere effort. But the problem is, it's not, it's an insincere effort.
Okay, you wanted to come back on that. Could you stand up, please?
If Muslims defend themselves, it's not a war against Islam, but Western countries do not have the right to defend themselves against terrorist
militants. Defend themselves in Iraq? No, they don't have the right to do that.
No, Iraqi government is defending its citizens in Iraq. Is that a war against Islam or not?
If the effort by any government instilled was sincere to quell terrorism, not to instill and reinforce the presence of the occupation, every single Iraqi would support that, including myself.
There is no hypothetical situation. There's a current situation right now. Is that a war on Islam or not? The thing that's taking place right now.
Which one?
We have people...
Can I just say something?
Look, he's just defining his question, please.
I'm responding to that particular question that he just asked. And that is, we mustn't simplify everything and make every single, policeman stopping someone who's driven above the speed limit to be an act of war on terror. Please, we're not simplifying issues. We're talking about, there are, yes, acts of injustice and inhumanity that are merely for certain reasons, possibly some of them oil, such as Ramzi said. But the predominant element that is happening today, the wars that are being fought, not the efforts of Ja'fari or Allawi to fight some invisible entity within Iraq, those are wars against Islam.
We've come to the point in the proceedings where we're going to ask you to make up your mind about the motion. This House believes that the war on terror has become a war on Islam. Please take the voting machines that you have. If you are for the motion, please press button 1, the yellow one. If you're against it, press 2, the red button. And would you please do it now? You only have to do it once. You don't have to keep pressing. Would you please press the button now?
Should we vote?
Just once. No, you don't vote. You've had your say. You've had your say. It's up to the audience now. We're getting the results of the vote now. They should be coming up on the screen. And they're looking very even. For 49.6 against. Against the motion, 50.4%. The motion has been rejected just by a small margin of error.
Very good, very good. Half and half.
Let me thank our eminent panelists, and let me thank you, the audience, as well. We'll be back in a month's time. Thank you very much for coming tonight. We hope you'll join us again. Have a safe journey home. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.